Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
How amazing would it be if you could practice because you want to, not because you have to? Learn how to improve your cash flow and increase your passive income now. Go to moneyripples.com or find their podcast, The Chris Miles Money Show, to learn more. Welcome to the TCP podcast. And so listeners, I have an incredible guest today. It's actually Dr. Dave Major. How are you doing today, Doc?
Good. And you know what? I'm so used to it. I apologize. So used to people call me Doc. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm an HDC. Pat Gentleman gave me honorary Doctor of Chiropractic. So myself and even when I just spoke at Mile High last year, Reggie Gold's wife, Irene, come up to me and said, you know, Sigafus, Reggie, they all said I should have been a chiropractor. And they say, you've done more for chiropractic being a non-DC, helping all these thousands of chiropractors over 35 years than you would have if you just had your own office.
I actually have been following you for about more than a year, but for some reason I always thought that you were a chiro as well.
Well, Dr. Stuckey in Toronto at the ICA convention said, that man, you know, that Dr. Major, and he did it purposely. And I'm like in the back room saying, I purposely, when I was speaking in crowds, tell them that. And he goes, now I know what you're saying. He's not a doctor, but BJ says he that owns the big idea and teaches it is a doctor. He says he's more of a chiropractor at heart and spirit than most of you people are in the audience.
Well, you're not the first person I've actually made that mistake in 350 episodes. So,
so people usually call me Doc, and they know me from Total Solution and different things. Yeah. So. Yeah,
well, it's a great way to start the conversation. So I need to know more about you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll go head into the conversation with some words of meaning.
Well, you did a dangerous thing, letting a motivational speaker talk, tell me about yourself. It's like, or what they used to do when you used to go over, Deb in the back, she'd sit there and she'd take her pen and go, get off. And then a good one is she'd like unscrew a cap and she poured all over and then take a match, poof, like shut up. But anyways, so I wanted, as you can tell, I'm a sports guy, see the football helmet. I wanted to be a pro athlete. I was all state, went to Toledo, played football way back in the day against Jack Lambert, Nick Saban, the coach. He went to Kent State. I went to Toledo. My goal was to be a pro player, blew my knee out. And now just last year I got it replaced finally. But anyways, I started working and coaching basketball, football, track. And then all of a sudden one day my hand's going numb. And I'm like, my fingers on this side. I'm like, dang it. Well, my buddy just graduated from Logan. And he said, Dave, he says, you got a problem in your neck. I said, of course. I've been playing football my life. I've been a battering ram. He goes, no, he says, that's affected now. I go, you chiropractors say everything's from your spine. This here is not my spine, it's my fingers. And he goes, well, everything from here goes down there. I'm like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, I went to Cleveland Clinic and got a needle EMG, makes a grown man cry. And they said, you need surgery, your lower neck, you got 2 herniated discs. I'm like, so I go, hey, Brad, you quack, could you crack me? He says, not a crack house, crack kills. I said, whatever, adjust me. So he's adjusted me about 12 visits, Ed. I almost went, this is, come on. I've had allergies. I've taken shots, pills, potions, lotions, and it covers it up. I'm good. How long is it going to be? It's going to be a while. I go, oh, my gosh. Never ending story. So make a long story short, about 2 visits later, the miraculous thing happened. And I come back and say, oh, you finally thinking I was leaving, you adjusted me right? It went away. He goes, it took a long time. Well, all the communication stuff and educational stuff that I've created, and I've just got some new clients and they're like, oh my gosh, your stress test is amazing. I can't believe people are going like, whoa, I need care. It takes it from an event. So, and the reason I came up with it is when I fell off a ladder and when I go to Parker and speak sometimes to the kids, because I go to their state fair and help them with screenings, I go, I was up fixing my antenna. And they go, antenna? What's an antenna? We had them and we liked it back in my days. But when I fell off the roof as a ranch-style home, I hit the ladder and I fractured 2 vertebrae. But I got up like, "Hey, yo, Adrian, get me a ice pack." And I thought I was okay. 3 years later, this happened. So I started thinking, it's not big traumas in our life, but the life stresses that accumulate. And if I would have thought going into care that I had 3 times 360, over 1,000 days that something shifted out and was not moving, like, I do my finger thing. It's a good analogy. I can tell you later. But anyways, your car goes out of alignment for 1,000 days. What's going to happen? The tires are going to wear. So that's all my good communication skills. So I would have definitely said, when they take my stress test and my W journey, I can take a person. When I did it the one time in Colorado, the doctors come in and do the report, and she says, here's a check for $3,000. I want to sign up for a year. I goes, what happened? So he showed me this journey I'm on, and I'm like, it's all about the presentation of the information. How you present it, it's your response. I came up to saying down south, and I don't know why neurologically I go, it's the presentation of the information. Where'd that come from? So, but anyways, so getting back to it, I said, Brad, do you have anything for me to do? I love chiropractic now. I was like Apostle Paul persecuting Christians. I'm persecuting you guys. A sports medicine coach. And I said, I want to do something. He goes, let's do spinal screenings. This is 1982. I go, spinal screening in a mall, taking people's shirts off? You go, no. He goes, remember how your head was off and your shoulders and you're walking like this? And then he's talking about you step on these scales, and if they're out of balance, if you're 200, and I go, oh, he goes, what? I go, out on the outside, out on the inside. I got it. So I go down, Mr. Coach, burping, farting, just like, hey, I'm all excited. And they have a pretty little marketing person, and I go, look at the way they're talking. Look at the way he's dragging his foot, drop foot. Look at the, oh my gosh, kyphosis, lordosis. That guy's scoliosis. Look at him. Now I'm seeing everybody, Ed, like, what is going on? Do you ever buy a new car? You got your first Lexus? There's a Lexus. There's a Lexus. How come you're seeing them? Now you're aware. You know what I'm saying? You have one. So I started.
Everyone has one now.
Yeah, there you go. I figured. So I go, hey, look at all these people we're going to, help. It wasn't about money. My purpose and intent was to educate people about chiropractic. And back in those days, it wasn't the nicest thing. You're still like quacks. I said, man, we can get 30 people helped. She goes, settle down. I get 2 or 3 people signed up. I go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Do you see what I see? I see freaking dead people out there walking around like, I'm okay. I said, you know what? I just pushed her away because me, Mr. Attitude, I always know that negative people in physics, a negative charge and positive charge cannot be created or destroyed, but they neutralize. I didn't want her negativity on me, so I just kind of pushed her out of the way. And I didn't know anything about all this stuff about mirroring. I was just a natural at it. So I see this guy back in the day when you had the one strap off of your bib overalls, big guy farmer. He's going, hey, what's this? I'm like, my kids said, Dad, you're going to get beat. You're mimicking them. I go, I'm mirroring them. I go, well, let me tell you what, Bubba, come on over here. And he's like innately going, I like this guy. He talks like me. He walks like me. He acts like me. And then there's somebody come up like, hi, what's this? I'd say, well, let me tell you what this is. People don't know communication skills, and I teach that all the time with patients and with their staff. Mm-hmm. I do team building and all that. So I got 35 people sign up my first screening ever. 35. They go, you want a full-time job? I said, I'm not a marketer. I'm a phys ed major. They go, major, my name. It's like, you're a natural-born marketer. I'm like, well, I'm telling you what, it felt so good, but I took a month, off of work, and I prayed about it, and I said, okay. And I just like, if you watch Rocky movies, Rocky 2, remember when she goes, I have one more thing to say. She's come out of the coma, and she goes, win. And his eyes go, dun, 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 dun. I said, I got to do this. And Monica said, go get him. I'm like, yes. So for 35 years, I took them from 4 clinics to 12 clinics, screenings, marketing, educating people. And then I ran into Pat. This is funny. Back when Pat had hair, he's bald. The Insight 4, Subluxation 4, the first generation, we had them come out and we put in the clinics, and I got to know Pat. Whoops, sorry. There you are. And I said, we got to be friends. And then about a year later, I was coming to Seattle up there by Washington because I felt led to start. I broke away from those guys and said, I got to start going global. I have something that I could really help the whole profession. The seminar was not that great, but I felt, you ever have that thing, Ed, where you go, I got to do it. I don't care what it looks like out there. I got to do it. So I went there, did it. I changed two clinics out of this big room, but changed their lives. I get to the airport and my brother's laughing at me like, yeah, right. There was something out here for you. I believe it. He drops me off. These are pre 9/11. As I'm waiting for him, I see these two guys walking. I go, oh, Patch and Tempo, Chris Ken, how you doing? And here they had a seminar. I didn't know that. But anyways, make a long story short, we got to be friends. When they left, I turned to my brother. I said, I needed to meet these guys right now. And because I started to own a clinic with another chiropractor, George Curry, who's was the ICA president, Dr. Curry from Palmer. And so he said, I'm in Connecticut. I said, come down to Jersey. We met. We started doing seminars for a year. The day he'd do philosophy about the head stuff, and then I'd come with the passion, like, K-Face, come on, get going. And they're like, ooh. But, I think he's more fired up about chiropractic than I am. Yeah, get a clue, buddy. So anyways, we got together for a year. Then he said, I got an idea about this total solution. It's a boot camp up in Colorado. And, people get the equipment, but you've seen it. It's not the equipment. It's the person. It's the person that's running the equipment. They have enough certainty. They have contradictions in their life. They're holding on. And so what you do, Dave, about letting people heal themselves and get rid of stuff and become whole as a person, because you can't have that above, down, inside, and out flow out if you got a lot of junk in the trunk. So we cleaned that out. First seminar, we had 25. 19 years later, we had almost 7,000 doctors go through our program. I don't know if you know anybody that went to Total Solution. You ever hear of that before?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we came in a little Italian restaurant, Deb Martin and Pat and I, and we devised the seminar. We said, let's go for it. When he told me he wanted to wait a little bit, I said, no, in 3 months, let's go out and do our first one. And I still see people today. There's a lot of guys out there. Michael Critchen, I think he's in, I don't know. There's a lot of people out that have come there and totally changed their life because they know it's about them, not about the equipment. And they walk out of there. Some people come, their practice is almost dying. And they changed their life. So anyways, so that's kind of enough about me. So we sold it to a Canadian guy named Fletcher. No,
Dr. Dave Fletcher. Yeah.
Dr. Dave Fletcher. Good friend of mine. We always room together. Please don't let him tell you stories about what happened when we slept together. Well, we didn't sleep together. We slept in the same room, 2 separate beds. But anyways, great guy. He has it now, so I still work with people. And I don't know if people know this or not, but I actually developed, did you ever see scans of the substation, Ed? Mm-hmm. Okay, the spike chart, I developed that. I came up with that. That was my creation, okay? Because I said, I don't care what numbers say. People need to understand, if I could turn my head 100% this way, and only, why can't I turn? And they say, so I show them that this is pulling twice as hard, muscle function equals nerve function. Your structure determines your function. I got all this simple analogies and posters. Have you ever seen the feeling versus function poster?
I think so.
The 3-part motor, autonomic, and sensory.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
Look in the bottom, Dave Major. That's mine. I came up with that years ago. Because people, it's feeling versus function. I don't care how you feel, Ed. It's how your body's functioning. And that's why we objectively test this. I went out to Hong Kong, and the guy doubled his practice in 1 week just by me. He just got a substation. I went out there. I told everybody that came in for adjustments. I scanned them and educated. I said, you need to bring as many people in this week because this will tell you the part you can't feel. So basically, if I said, hey, Ed, how are you feeling? And you say, oh, okay. So if you had a serious problem, Ed, would you know about it most of the time? What do you think the average person says?
If I had a serious problem?
Yeah.
Like what would I say is a solution?
No. Would you feel it? If you have something seriously going on inside, what did the normal person say?
Yeah, well, that's what you focus on is what you're feeling, physical pain.
Guess what, Ed? You only feel about 10%, very little. So what happens is, it's not that it's not that bent over to pick up that pencil that your back goes. It just didn't go there. It's been building up. But what happens is you don't feel 90% what's going on. 90% is function, 10% is feeling. Just like your tooth. I'm doing a poster for the dental. 90% of your tooth is enamel, 10% is nerve. You ever break your tooth off on a soft roll? You go, how did that break off? Oh, a little piece. And they go, no, 70% of your tooth's gone. Well, it's been rotten all the time. You don't know it. So the finger thing, I'll say before I can forget, the guy goes by the one time at a fair, and it just started, oh, chiropractic. Yeah, you guys want to keep coming. I go, do you know why? One of my favorite sayings is, know why, no comply. N-O, know why, no comply. So I said, okay, Ed, this took a minute. I said, do you have stress in your life? He goes, yeah. Chemical emotional effects. I go, oh, sure. I'm 35. I've had stress all my life. Okay, stress causes a misalignment. Okay, now give me your finger. I took his finger and I just nicely turned. So along your life, all those times, and he played hockey and football, I said, instead of things turning, that stress in your life, and I just torqued it a little bit, caused them not to move as fluently, okay, caused slight misalignments. So guess what? You think this is a good thing or bad thing? He's like, oh, no, it's a bad thing. I said, so guess what? You get adjusted and get lined up. What, you going to still have stress in your life for how long? He goes, all my life. So that's going to come back. And I go, so you want to just get adjusted once or twice or want to keep that move? He goes, well, duh. Why would everybody not stop? Why would anybody stop getting adjusted now that I understand? I'm like, he didn't even get a screening or anything. We go, well, the foraminal opening is, and the paraspinal muscle. I'm like, shut up. Your brain talks to your body. If there's a subluxation, guess what? It doesn't talk. People go, oh, I feel like my body's not talking. Better communication, better health, better function. Better function, better health. That's why I got my book, Health is a Journey. It's my healthcare class. It's a little book. I sold over 1 million copies. Not too many people know, as I told you earlier on, 66, going to 67. I'm not that. I don't have to promote a lot of products, but that Health is a Journey book. Get this. This is a sad thing. I spoke in Wisconsin about 10 years ago, and I went over the book, Health is a Journey, guest speaker for this segment. A guy comes up with a beard, looks like you, Ed, very, very, well, I am a court stenographer, and I need to tell you something about your lecture. I go, oh, no. You were wrong on this or what? He goes, I have heard hundreds of chiropractors in my 25 years of court stenography talk about what chiropractic is in the cases, and I've never understood. But thank you, Mr. Major. I finally understand, he said, what chiropractors do, and you're not even a chiropractor. I went, yeah. Oh, I said, isn't that sad? I'm not even a chiropractor, and I explained the simple message of chiropractic. It's like, yeah. So anyways, I'll get right up here so you can talk. I'll let you in that if you want. So I was lecturing, and they, in March, they called me and said, you can't do any seminars, no outdoor events, everything shuts down in the country, in the world, really. So I come home, and one thing I realized in 35 years and traveling 2.5 million miles, I just got done being in Nigeria on TV, talking about chiropractic, traveling the world. I go, you know what? I can do more with my 35 years of experience and knowledge of building practices. I used to own 3 practices with people. So I just started with myself and Dr. Mike Gandolfi. There's 2 groups. I'm doing my own thing, but also with Dr. Mike Gandolfi, who has a 200 retention. He's brilliant. Chiro Academy. He's in Chiro Academy. But then I also do just personal, inspire the person, personally and professionally, but personally first. If you're not getting hugs, Ed, when you leave in the morning and you're getting tugs from your kids and wife, shame on you. Don't go heal people and help people if you can't help your own home. You change the person, you change the clinic, you change the world, but you got to start with you. So you talk to people who've been in Total Solution. They have let go. They call me up, Dave, I took my kids camping. Thank you so much. I got my life back in order, priorities, balance. That's what it's all about. So I came up with something really cool, and I got to share it because I'm like a new kid again, like when I started chiropractic.
Take the guesswork out of your practice. Achieve certainty with the Insight scanning system. Chiropractors can now analyze a patient's condition more accurately, communicate findings more effectively, while allowing both the doctor and patient to track the effectiveness of your care. Find out how Insight can help grow 30% in as little as 3 months by filling out the practice survey assessment, a $149 value. Head to insightcla.com/PSA. The event code is TCP.
The key in success is accountability equals consistency. Accountability equals consistency. And I learned in this last year, while we were COVID and all that, my buddy is a doctor of theology. We have read 8 books so far together. Why? I haven't read a book from cover to cover. I just get all the good nuggets and throw it aside because I'm accountable every day knowing that I need to talk to him, say, I had to talk to you every day. And I'm like, wow, that 250-page book is done now. So every day in my coaching, people Marco Polo me, and say, hey, I did my devotions today. Here's what the Lord told me. I went over my reported findings. I did this and did this. Because if you don't stay on task, the behavior won't change. You got to go deep. I always talk about go deep, go deep. If you take a weed and just take the top off, guess what? It comes back up because you didn't go deep enough to get the root. So we need to go get deep to the root of the problem. And that's by being honest with yourself and being totally held accountable. Because a lot of times what we do is we delegate to people, in coaching. I don't like coaching. I'm calling it mentor, major mentoring. How about that? And what happens is you don't monitor. You delegate something, don't monitor. And a guy that you're paying money to or lady, oh, well, as long as you keep paying you, try again. No, I'm a tough coach. It's like I want accountability because that gives consistency and that produces results. I'm results driven. So now instead of me flying somewhere and being with one chiropractor all day, I just, this person's face lit up like I did that stress test. And I'm already saying this person is not going to sign up. They go Monday morning on the road. They don't get back truck driver to Friday. When he did that stress test, he was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I really brought to you a lot. I'm really screwed up. I need to not go in on Monday morning and get my adjustments. I'm like, he came up with that. And it all started, Janice Hughes from Canada?
Yep.
Yeah. It started with her. I'll tell you this one quick story. Janice, she comes up, I go up, and I was working with her when she was up in Brantford, I think it was. Brantford.
I'm not sure, yeah.
Yeah. So she goes, Dave, you're here. Go in that room and talk to the lady. She wants to leave. So she had a packed room. So this lady's like this. I'm like, whoa, don't talk me into it. I said, I ain't talking into anything. I'm going to do an exiting scan. And what I do is I trace the scans. I show, here's a normal pattern. Let's look at your pattern, how you adapt, the adaptability and all that. So I go over all that stuff. I said, okay. She says, I'm getting worse. The last 3 months, I'm getting worse. It's Dr. Hughes' fault. And get this. She wasn't educated that good, but not Dr. Hughes' fault. But she goes, my friends say I'm getting too many adjustments. 18 months? What's it going to go? I'm getting loose bones, loose muscles. I go, no. Your friends are wrong, but that's okay. That's what you think. I said, take my stress test. I took the stress test. Oh, sorry. So I'm doing the pattern. She was getting better for 12 months. In the last 3 months, since her last scan, she got worse. They always want to blame the chiropractor, right? She goes, it's Dr. Hughes' fault. I go, no, she's amazing chiropractor. Let me see. So 12 months, what was going on? I was doing great. I was feeling great. I was sleeping. I just had energy. In the last 3 months, so I look at the form, and she goes, the most primary stress, I'm not going to go over the whole thing. The primary stress is job. And I go, wow, emotional job. I go, what's going on with your job? I had no clue what's going on. She goes, well, a consulting group come in, they're evaluating our company. I go, oh my gosh, you can lose a job or get a pay cut. Now, I'm not like some groups out there, and I hate to go, oh my gosh, you're, no scare care. I'm just going to educate them. So she goes like this. She goes, yeah, I'm really scared. So I see a little keychain with kids, soccer kids. I go, oh, you're a soccer mom. And I'm trying to be positive. Does your husband have a good job? I'm a single mom. I go, oh my gosh, I have single chiropractic ladies, clients that it's tough. So I go, when did this start? She goes, September. And I go like this. I go, right. And she goes, what are you laughing about? I go, no. This is so easy. Instead of me going, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? No. I reached over, I go, no, you know hockey, eh? She goes, yeah. I go, do you think hockey players get more or less adjustments during seasons? She goes, probably more. It's a stressful time. I reached over and put my hand on her shoulder, and I said, last 3 months you had this hockey season, and that's why you're worse. And she's looking at me, and this all came to me. I got to admit, this is a God thing. I said, okay, now look, you got the ick factor. Because I said insufficient care. Ick makes you sick. I put a little S and a little K and a big IC. I go, yeah, this much stress, this much adjustments for 12 months. Doing good? She goes, yeah. All of a sudden, 3 months, your stress level went up. There's a gap there. Okay, insufficient care. Didn't meet your need, your adjustments. So ACT, AC, put you back on track at the little TR. And I said, so is there any end in sight with let me do this way. And she goes, no. So this is not going to move. The stress is still there. What's the only way we can get you back on track? She goes, I said, get more adjustments, get up there. Eat. She goes, yeah. She goes out, Dr. Janice's adjusted. She goes, she hears a lady go, I need to come in twice a week to get back on track for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And she goes, what did you say to her? I said, I Socratically went through a process to say, listen, patients, what you do outside this clinic makes a huge difference on your quality and care, and she herself said, I got to come in more, when she first was like this, and this took probably 5 minutes. It's all about the presentation of the information. That's what I'm talking about. So I'll just shut up now, get a drink because my mouth's dry, and let you continue.
Well, you make you make my job very easy, Dave. So I don't even have to, I just sit back and let you go, man.
Well, I'm like this. Somebody goes, is your husband like this all the time? He's good, approaching 70. I've been adjusted all my life. I take vitamins. I'm very balanced spiritually, mentally, physically. It takes a toll on you. If you're not healthy, if you don't do wellness care. And my definition of wellness care is, and I'm making a new poster. Wellness care is not doing something for a reason. Mm-hmm. It's doing something to prevent a reason. Yeah. Okay. So I got all these sayings.
Let's bring it back to the flow. Let's bring it back to the flow. Yeah, we're going to actually skip. So based on our timeline, we have to skip forward over a couple questions. Okay. But actually for listeners, I'm just going to throw this out here now, is you can actually head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We'll have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Dave Major today. Dave Gameface Major today. And you can actually check him out at, I hope I got this right. So it's davemajorgameface.com.
That's my website.
That's the URL, right? Or go to the search bar in Facebook, and we'll have all these links actually on our webpage, but also in the show notes if you're on your mobile, to inspire the person, or is it inspire? Yeah. Inspire the person, impact the public.
No, the profession.
The profession. How did I write that down wrong? Okay. Inspire the person, impact the profession. Search on that. I found it very easily on Facebook, and you can actually follow there. Other than that, what I'd like to do is actually bring you to, our best advice. So start dropping some resources and advice with our doctors. So one of the things we like to do is actually put you into our TCP time machine. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. So I'm going to put you into the TCP time machine. I'm going to send you back to a younger version of yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, you have all the life experience and you have all the knowledge that you have today. So let's say that I send you back to that point in time when you actually injured your knee. Okay, so you were young, working to be a professional, training to be a professional football player. Yeah. Yes. So what would you say, what is the best advice you would give to that younger self?
Well, it's pretty, I don't know if people like it or not. At first, you go through phases. At first, you're like, dang it, why? My life's dream, I was heading that way. I had everything going for me. And as you go through life and through trials and tribulations, you realize an important thing that, things don't happen just because they happen for a reason. Everything has purpose. My definition of coincidence is when God remains anonymous. Things happen. God is orchestrating your life, and He's totally in control of it. And the reason I was so powerful, Total Solution, number one, God was with me, but you had, stuff about my trials and my struggles. Well, basically, when I look back, I would love to say the thing that I do at Total Solution was to show I play cats in the cradle. My dad wasn't there. My mom left us. I had a bad upbringing, and I promise I'd never be that way. But what happens is, even it's hard to say, it seems cruel. I wish sometimes early in life that I would avoid this, but if I'm looking back now, knowing what I know now, going back into the future, I would say bring it on, because, those 3 years or a couple of years that I had that ego, which means excluding God out, EGO, excluding God out of my life, my priorities all upside down. And it made me, to these 7,000 people that I talked to, and still today counsel, that I experienced that. I was the Richie Cunningham, the perfect marriage, good Christian guy, and then I just went off the deep end for a couple of years, the prodigal son. But because I opened my heart and said this was me, I'm doing a skit in front of everybody in Desperado, and the girl comes in and I go, I don't have time, I got to go, and the kid says, can I play ball? No, not today, I don't have enough time. People are just weeping like, that was me. Then they identified. But I am so transparent. I'm going to cry. Because I opened my heart that was hard, but I'm honest. I could never, people pick up phonies. If I tried to say, oh, life was tough, and it wasn't. I mean, people say, I'm kissing my daughter's picture at night because I'm working at 8, 9 o'clock. My family's being destroyed. Well, what is that? If you lose the whole world, it doesn't. So I'm glad I'm through that. And for 20 some years, I've been helping people not go through it. Either people were in the midst of that my experience helped them get out of it, or some people were just getting into that phase. So I was able to say, don't go there, So my experience helped people avoid a lot of that. So I embrace trials. I embrace tribulations, because there's a good saying. This is powerful. You want to write it down. God will take you where you don't want to go to get you where you need to be. Mm-hmm. That's so powerful, and he's done it to me. I'm so blessed. My wife and I just celebrated 50 years of our first date. This past Saturday, took our grandkids. I have 7 grandkids. Wow. I'm going on my 47th year of marriage with my wife. That is something that you learn from people like me, not bragging, but you want success, look at a successful personal life, and you'll see a successful professional life. People say, well, how are you still so successful? I said, it's a mindset, but more important, your heart. What goes into your mind goes into your heart. What goes into your heart comes out of your mouth. So if you really want to, even the Bible says these things are holy, pure. You got to listen to stuff like Ed's podcast. People, you got to surround yourself with all that. And you got to immerse in it, marinate, and let it marinate in your heart, and speak from your heart, no matter what it looks like. So yes, looking back in my time machine, if they say you're going through that, I'm thinking, I don't want to go through that. But the result of that, now it could have been detrimental. It could have been like, well, then I just went downhill and just forgot life and whatever. No, it's, like the old saying, and my buddy corrected me. We always say life's 10% what happens, 90% how you react. It's 100% what happens to you. It makes you who you are, and embrace it and say, what can I learn from this? So, like I said, embrace it, have good counsel, have good mentorship with you. And I think that's the key. So yeah, I'd like to say, well, I wish I would have never done this, done that. No, it made me. I wish my mom wouldn't have left me in 4th grade. My dad tried to kill us that night. We found out later he put the gas on. But if friends come over because they were worried about him, open the door, and we didn't even know that. But that's why I am who I am today. And I'm very blessed to be in the best profession in this whole freaking world. And you chiropractors out there better wake up, because you know what? I'm just shake the crap out of you and say, wake up, baby. Step up to the plate. Go big or go home. And I used to say that to the kids. My coach would say, if and buts were candy and nuts major every day, be a Merry Christmas. I'm like, okay, whatever. But hey, that's why you got to get your game face on. You have to have the right attitude, have the belief system, be committed, and get the drive. And that equals, guess what? Your game face. this is kind of crazy. But anyways, that's why I say put your game face on every day. So after every podcast or live, I go, all right, everybody, let's get your head in the game, personally and professionally. 1, 2, 3, game face. And I'll end with that. The story goes, the game face, I came from a poor family. I should have trademarked it. I've said game face for 25 years, and now everybody says it. I might have been even richer. But my son, who's a preacher now, my son's a preacher, my daughter's a teacher, the best math intervention specialist, and he's an amazing preacher. But he goes, Dad, we're praying our senior year. We've been 50-50. Why were you so successful? You still have records and the 100-yard dash and touchdowns. I said, because back in seventh grade, sixth, seventh grade, after my mom left and I got to eat whatever I wanted as the baby, I was so fat, they laughed, they threw rocks at me and said, fat boy. And I start running at night around the blocks. I didn't want to do that. I got bigger, stronger, faster. All of a sudden, I became this athlete because I didn't like who I was and I had a choice. Sit and immerse in my sorrows or change my life, and I changed it. And I said, in my senior year, I grabbed people by the face mask and brought mine, go, get your game face on. Get your head in the game, game face on. So the next day, he goes, Dad, the guys are coming over today. The other three captains, they want to come over. Well, word spread about this, and I put my hat on. I was kind of tired, and all of a sudden I hear all these cars pulling my drive. And there's more than a couple cars. The whole team's there. And I go, what are they? They said, Dad, they all want you to come out and be your motivational speaker. Catch me in a van down by the river. And I go, okay. So I go out there. I'm trying to think of what to say. These kids are going like this. I go, on count of 3, we're going to do game face. So I'm like, 1, 2, 3, game face, 1, 2, 3, game face. And these kids went from this to like this. And even my neighbors started coming out chanting game face. And as they came out, every time I'd sit there, with tears because I'm a big crybaby. I don't care. And the superintendent says, what's wrong, Mr. Major? What are you crying for? I go, it's game day, baby. You got to be totally committed emotionally, mentally, physically. And they won not only the North and South, they won the whole thing. And they were champs. And they all stood the 50-yard line. I said, Mr. Major, game face. And they came and they just piled up on me. I said, kids, it doesn't stop here. Every day with your family first, get your head in the game and your game face on, 100% of their attention. When you're in the office, chiropractors, you're 100% attention. PTC, present time consciousness, give and serve and love out of abundance. Get your head in the game. Don't be thinking here and thinking there. Focus, and you'll be successful. And so it's just one of these things where the game face thing has been my trademark over there, trademark. And that's how I've been successful. It's all about success as a consciousness, and your heart has to be in it 100%.
And so if we could ask you for even just one resource, so it could be a book, it could be an audio, it could be a podcast, which is an audio, could be an application, could be a person. Is there any one resource you want to drop on the doctors today?
Yeah, I put that in the paper you gave me. It's a book, No Can Do by Paul Meyer. No Can Do, this gentleman, and I'll just give you just the 3 things that he says, is so powerful. He's back in the 40s. He realized one thing and he stopped and he wrote this manual. He made millions of dollars in the 50s and stuff. But it's like he said, back then, he probably rolled over in his grave. There's two things that are really wrong back then and even worse now. We have information overload. There's so much information, and we have a negative filter, okay? A negative filter. And what that means is a person has to hear something, and this is where I'm talking about my program about accountability, consistency, over and over and over again. He says you got to hear things 6 times before it sinks in. And so this book has been really impressive in my heart because he goes, you do it time and repetition. That's the 3rd thing. Time and repetition, 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 repetition. What do we say? We say a lot and we never follow through. But repetition is the mother of learning. Well, why don't we do it? We go to a seminar. He says, by the time, I'm not going to go through all the steps. By the time, within 72 hours, you forget everything. You forget everything. So I tell people, listen, don't write down tons of notes. How many times you went to the seminar, you got tons of notes sitting on your shelf, you never look. Look at those aha moments. If you write down 2 things instead of all these notes that hit you that you got to stop doing or start doing, then that's the key. You got to get those. And so, you got the foot on the brake and foot on the gas. So what do I need to do to let go, to soar more? So this thing of like, okay, yeah, everybody takes it personal. That's why about the fourth time, people start going, I'm getting it. People are like, oh, that's too much education, Dave. No, it's not. I have clinics and I have people that are still, ask George Curry, 30 some years ago when I did the Shad Derby days. They're still coming. Their grandkids are coming, and now their kids are coming because education is key. And we try to talk above and beyond instead of talking normal. And so again, that's where my key comes. I can take any doctor, any staff, and give them communication one time, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so powerful." I'm like, "Well, that's where Chris Kent. I love Chris Kent to death. He's a mentor of mine." But he said, we ranked the score about aesthetics. You take this test. He goes, we found one person finally that's close to us in theoretical. And I go, oh, who is it? I'm sorry to name these doctors. He goes, no, you, Dave. I go, me? I'm not, whatever. He goes, no, you take the complex things and make it simple. And that's what's key. People can grasp it. So, yeah, Paul Meyer, No Can Do. It's a powerful book, and that's what we need to do. So that's one thing. There's many other things, and if I think of it, I could post it. But I appreciate this time, Ed. I've watched you and listened, and I just thank God for this opportunity because I'm here to help lots of chiropractors, and I can. People get off the phone, they're fired up. I wonder why, because squirrel, ADD here, but I probably would have been put on Ritalin if I was a kid. But when you're passionate when you're on purpose, you're passionate, it's like swimming downstream.
No, absolutely. No. And I want to, really just acknowledge you and thank you for actually coming on the TCP podcast today because our whole theme is really just about giving back, and it's about giving back to the profession and providing value. And you've dropped a ton of resources, but also a ton of value and inspiration today. So I want to thank you, Dave, for being on the podcast. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And if anybody does contact me because it's through this, I'll do 15, 20-minute, free consultation. If they have any questions, I'd give that because I am very honored. And I can, and I will. I just obviously, my scripts and my form for screenings, I'll give that if they call me or request it, and I'll send that no charge, no hooks involved in there too for listening to that.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Want more certainty with your x-rays? Want to streamline your workflow more so you can see more patients? Or just want to limit your liability with x-rays? Get a second opinion. Dr. Cliff Tao is a chiropractic radiologist and reads diagnostic imaging studies for all chiropractors. His professional, highly detailed reports are provided next business day with stat reports available same day. Head to clifftaodcdacbr.com for more information. That's Cliff Tao, TAODCDACBR.com today. You can also find us on Facebook and LinkedIn.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Chiropractic Philanthropist.